Welcome to the show. Welcome to Paranormal Roundtable. I'm your host. Oh, wait a minute. It's not Paranormal Roundtable. I got the hat for it. Let me see. It's not. It's something totally different. So let me take this hat off. And let's put on the hat with the sword of righteousness. How about that one? This one right here. There we go. All right. So how's everybody doing this Friday night? We're going to be doing this every Friday for a while, and we're going to be doing that. And on Saturday, we're going to be doing the real random files, and that's going to be on Rumble. So I was really shocked. I don't know, Anthony, if you were as shocked as me to see so many people on the Rumble episode. There were like 150 something people in there at one time, which was good. It tells me that YouTube is just, they're just kind of like, eh.
Yeah, I think people are slowly migrating to Rumble.
Yeah. Rumble, though, I mean, like, people are like, oh, well, let's go see what he has to say.
If they can just get their stupid app working right, I mean, that'd be the nail in the coffin.
The app is the problem, dude. That's the problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk. We're going to get our co-host on here. I'm real picky about my bills on my hat, dude. This one's not.
It looks goofy when they're straight.
I hate that, and it aggravates me if I can't curve it correctly.
They used to be like this, the style, like the straight bill, which I never got, but
never my style.
Not yours, but it was
style of fools.
Yes, weirdos.
Let's bring on our co-host here. What's up, Anna? How you doing tonight? Let me get my
good
in here.
You caught me right after I put my eye drops in. So
me, it might help. It'd be cool to do the whole show where I can't hear you and you can't hear me, and we just see what happens.
Yeah, we could just sign to each other. I'm sure people would love that.
No, not even that. I just talk and you talk, and we hope we don't talk over each other.
Yeah, it would be great.
See how that works, right?
It wouldn't be annoying at all. No.
Yeah.
Hey,
so you're a little bit quiet on my end. I don't know. Can y'all hear Anna? Because I can barely hear you. Just barely.
You say that every time.
I honestly didn't even hear what you do.
By the way, who was late this time? Was that my payback?
Was I late?
Yeah, it's like 7:15, yo.
Oh, so I didn't even. I was actually on here talking.
7:15 my time, 8:15 time.
You didn't see me on here talking? I was just talking. I saw you in the background.
Yeah, just now. But anyway.
Can y'all hear? They said they can hear you loud and clear. So it must be something on my end that I'm not able to hear you. I don't know why.
I don't know what the deal is. I mean, I don't know. You've got the tech waves over there, so do I just need to scoot up closer?
Hold on one second. Can you make it to where we can hear her? Because the audience said they can hear her, but I can barely hear her. Unplug.
Do I need to do something on my end?
No. I got it.
No, I think it's on our end.
Okay.
Obviously.
Okay.
And now I got it down. I'm saying Anna because for a long time I would say Anna and you'd be like, it's Anna.
Yeah, we've only known each other, close to a decade. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah. But I just kept thinking, I kept saying it wrong, and you were just like, you always call me Anna. And I think the episode where you came on the show,
switch back and forth. Yeah, no, it's fine. It's been that way. It's literally been that way my whole life. Where even relatives that have known me my whole life will do that sometimes. So I'm used to it. It's totally.
So I've had the same situation. Yeah. I've had that same situation. Yeah. People would call me Bubblicious Fisheye, and I'd be like, "Mom, that's not my name. Why do you keep calling me that?" And she was like, "You know what? Just shut up, and I'm going to call you that."
Handsome. Yeah, yeah. People and teachers throughout school, they would just people. I mean, I can't really name people. It's a pretty old name. There's a lot of
you're breaking up real bad.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
Is it
you're kind of going like that sounds like that.
Yeah, it seemed like my internet was kind of slow for some weird reason. I don't know what's going on with that. Usually it's not. Is it still breaking up?
Are you on Wi-Fi or are you directly plugged in?
No, I'm on Wi-Fi. And usually my internet's great here, but I did notice it was lagging a little bit. Here, let me make sure everything's totally closed down in the background too, because I had the chat open. That might be slowing things down.
Somebody just congratulated you on your eye makeup.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Leo Nee.
Oh.
This is Anna just saying your eye makeup is banging.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I went a little all out today. I had a dinner earlier, so.
You had a little date?
All right.
You had a little date?
No, I have not been. No.
So
you gotta find
so
me
now you belong to
a Texas boy.
Well, you got to come down to Texas for that. See, the thing is, we got to be able to, like, you now belong to the people. Okay, so if you're gonna go out with somebody, we have to approve it. We have to vote on it, and we have to approve this bum.
That's how a cult works.
That's how it works.
He's got his testosterone levels need to be like yay ho. So none of those boys. That's my only.
You're breaking up again. I don't know what's going on with that.
Something about
testosterone and boys.
Yeah. Do you want me to shut everything down and reconnect, and then I can click on the link again and reconnect with you guys?
I'm not the tech guy. Let me ask the tech guy.
So, do you have anything in the background, like another browser tab? Anything that's
no? I shut everything down in the background.
Speeding up your internet connection.
No, and I'm just on my laptop. I don't want to annoy the crap out of our audience, but if you want, I can just like restart my whole laptop and reconnect, and then just click on the link again and go back into the studio. Do you think that would help?
I mean, it's worth a shot, yeah. But just for future reference, though, like if when it comes to streaming, it usually works better if you're if you're hardwired into your modem. Because the Wi-Fi can be kind of iffy, you know. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I would. I don't even think that'd be possible because the modem's in like a completely different bedroom downstairs, and I wouldn't have the setup there. Yeah. So usually the internet's fine here, though. So let me try this out, and I'll be right back with you guys.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
All right. And then Leo Nee says, "That's right. I'm part of a cult now." Well, I mean, they're always saying it's a cult. Hanging around to have a cult. It's a cult. Always, well, best cult ever.
It's mad because you're not in it.
That's right. They're just mad because they're not in it. There's no chat on the screen here. Can we get a chat up there?
Oh, yeah.
See, we got the chat going. Get some people in here. God, when people getting tired. I'm just tired. I'm tired of people's bullcrap. I've been nice. I've been being nice. I was talking to a friend earlier. He's going through all kinds of hell. And y'all know him. Starscream is a good friend of mine. Everybody knows him from Paranormal Roundtable. He's been on the show a couple times, He's just going through it like I am. Everybody's going through it. My friend Arash, whose story I've told on the show, he's going through it too, man. He's fighting court battles. It's just what it is, man. We all got to do what we got to do. So tonight, what are we going to talk about tonight? I know that we could get started with some while we're waiting for Anna to come back and pop in and grace us with her presence. What are we? What's on the agenda for tonight? I saw MKUltra there in the headline. I didn't look up any of these subjects. So.
Yeah, I had some of the subjects like Thomas Crooks being a mind control assassin, the whole Havana Syndrome, V2K, like the voice to skull targeting, predictive programming. There was she wanted to talk about the underground explosion in Lebanon, and like a million people have
are
to be
evacuated.
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy. Probably save that one for tomorrow night when we get on to the. Because I was going to talk a little bit about World War II because it's Independence Day, but I don't want to sound like I'm chastising my country, on Independence Day. That's not my intent, so I don't want to do that. So we'll talk about we can talk about some of that stuff, tonight, and then tomorrow we'll continue. God, so what do you think about Crooks? Do you think do you think that that's possible? That that's what he was? I mean, that's an interesting thing.
I always think that whenever anything happens, I immediately assume it's pre-planned. It's like the reaction was already anticipated, and it was already in the works like years before it happened.
And if anybody doesn't know who this is, who we're talking about here, Thomas Crooks. Does anybody in the audience not know who that is? It happened near Butler, Pennsylvania. I don't remember. I know it was around my birthday. I don't remember exactly what day it was. I just know it was in the middle of July. It was two years ago. And he used an AR. And I think he shot Trump's ear. Right? And that's what happened. And I know that they didn't. There was a whole lot of weird intrigue around that. It was a mystery because he tried to shoot Trump, and then I don't know what happened with this guy. Like the next thing you know, he just kind of disappeared off the radar. He was shot and unalived by the Secret Service, right? Is that correct?
Yeah,
I think so.
Supposedly, yeah.
He was supposedly. I just know he was shot in by the Secret Service. They never said a whole lot about him, and they said that everybody that thought it was there was a conspiracy theory. It was all a conspiracy theory. These people that said that something was wrong never had any motives, and I think the FBI looked into it and they said, well, everything's good here. He was killed by the Secret Service. I know he was only like 21 years old, or he wasn't even quite 21 years old, I think. Is that correct, too?
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't even bothered to do a lot of research on it. I just remember what I remember from memory.
I think it was like 20.
He was like a 20-year-old kid. And what does a 20-year-old kid give a crap? This doesn't make any sense. It's a weird thing, these people, these young people, but these young people are also indoctrinated. Right. And they're always indoctrinated from that other side of the aisle. Why is that always? And then they're like, well, all these crazy right-wing white supremacists are running around doing all kinds of stuff. Really? Because it seems to be coming from the other side always. And Ben Foyle Hat says the bleeding ear was a ritual. What do you mean by that? What do you think about that, Ben? Tell us what you got for that. And then my brother says, Trump and his miraculously healing ear. So he rubbed some hot sauce on there, some Frank's Red Hot sauce, or Lyle's hot sauce, and then I'm good now. The ear has healed. Thank you, Mr. Blackburn, for making such a delicious hot sauce. I put it on my ear, and now it's healed. The hot sauce has healed us. Is that what happened? Okay. All right, Anna, there you are.
I'm back. It still seems like it's running slow on my end, so I don't know. Is it any better on your end?
It sounds good to me. I don't know. I'm fine.
Okay, we'll see how it goes.
Roll with it.
I just, I apologize for Anna's ridiculous behavior, folks. All right.
I know. It's always something with me, right?
Somebody's always going, this is how she looks right
now. Yeah,
I'm joking with
you. We
you.
apologize for her prehistoric caveman internet.
And her cavemanish antics with
yeah.
No. So we're talking about Crooks, the guy that shot Trump's ear. And maybe yes. Trump rubbed some hot sauce on it. Or, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm on the fence with that one.
Yeah. Because the thing is, I was never MAGA, though. People have messaged me, and they're like, you have changed. You're just like Candace and Tucker and those people. How could you changed from what you were? I said, I was never part of that crap. I was never MAGA. Now we got MIGA. MIGA is where it's at. These MIGAs is crazy. I'm telling you. Make Israel great again. That's where the party has moved, is to the MIGAs.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
that's what I think.
don't need to segue into a whole thing about this, but I heard this the other day that really the advent of kind of the whole make the land of which we will not name on YouTube great again. Really the advent of the whole Zionist propaganda movement started with the Schofield Bible. Am I even pronouncing that correctly?
No, that's
But is
correct.
that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't really know the whole history of that.
Well, Anthony, tell the audience about the three Oh, never mind. He's got to go do something. Something's going on. Okay, so me and Anthony were talking earlier. Me, Anthony, and Nellie, and we were talking about the whole 3-generation thing. Now, after 3 generations, that third generation, they're not going to remember what their grandparents were bitching about, right? So you really, when you pump all this propaganda, if you don't do it correctly through the school systems, like with the Rockefeller education system and all that, then you have 3 generations to keep your lies in place. And then that by that third generation, they're not going to give a crap what happened, 2 generations before. And by the time they have children, it's completely gone. So that's where we're at. You have the generation that's been completely brainwashed. Then you have the middle generation, which is like 50-50, which is my generation. They're starting to go, I don't know about all this. And then you have the millennials who were like, this is bull crap. And then the Zoomers, who every one of them hates the people who are in charge, and they figured it out. And that's what they did. So what they did was, if Guy Anderson is to be believed, and I think he is to a degree, he was on the show recently talking about the Cabbage Patch babies and all of the weirdness with the Tartarian Empire and all that. So you have him talking about this, what the reset, because people were starting to go, okay, these people are bad. They're not good. And there's certain elements to our society that need to be, removed. So they had to do a reset and a replug. And that's what they did. And that happened after Civil War in the 1870s. And the Masons, I was just watching a thing earlier today about the Masons, and now I can't remember the guy's name. Oh, damn it. And he was one of those that came right out and said that they worship Lucifer and all this other stuff. Pike, yes. Thank you.
Pike.
Thank you. Yeah. And so Pike, he came out and just said it. That's what they do. And he was saying Adon or Adonai, which is their version of God is actually the devil, and the vice versa, or whatever. And that's mankind. That's representative of mankind, right? So if the way that they look at the world, the way that they see everything is this weird, esoteric, whatever, everything has a hidden meaning and blah, 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 right? And the average layperson is just kind of going like, oh, I don't know what that is. Well, when they do what they do and they set up the world, which is do the reset, which everybody's saying they're going to do another one now, right? So they did the reset in the 1870s, and then you have the 1880s, 1890s. You got 1-2 generations to the 1900, right? And then you have another generation, and they went to World War I. So you have that boom, 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 and then you have the generation that spawned off, the World War II, and so you have 5 to 6 generations right there, and you have this extreme brainwashing that took place, and this indoctrination in the school system, everything. And then you bring in the millennials, and the millennials being the children of a 50-50 generation like mine, and they're just kind of like, they're not buying it. The horse and carriage has stopped, and they were like, no, we're not doing it. This isn't, we don't believe this. And that's kind of where we're at now. It's like every time that we get to a certain point in our history, they have to stop it and reset because people aren't believing in the bullcrap anymore. And so now the people who are in charge, now you got to understand something. I'm not talking about the Chosenbergs. I'm talking about the Masons. The Masons are their Gentile Goyim, that's their people that do their bidding on a base level. And you know, the whole world is not like, in other words, not every Mason is running the world, but everyone running the world is a Mason. Let's put it that way. Or they're part of the Chosenbergs, which is it's a larger secret club, right? Mm-hmm. That they masquerade as a race and a religion, but that's not really what it is, because there's different races in there. There's different religions within the religion. And so to be a part of those exclusive clubs, it takes this sort of, you know, whatever. And I guess to be sort of a sociopath, or at least to pretend to be one for a while, because that's what you have to do. And then the Masons, if you look at it's a broken 6-pointed star. It's open. Now, why is it open like that? The reason it's open like that is because it's open to others. The 6-pointed star is closed. So you have to be born into it. You don't have to be born into the Mason. You can be asked to join. I have. I declined. And I've had others that thought I was, just because of the knowledge. They'll be like, are you a traveling man? No, I'm not. I'm not. And I don't think that everybody who's in the Masons is necessarily a bad person. I know a lot of people who are really good people who just do it because they think it's like a fun thing to do, and you get connections and you get help and blah, blah, blah. You know, but ultimately you end up, you know, if you go to the 33rd, and really and truly it's like 30, 31, 32, you're already getting prepared for it. The 33rd is when you make that leap into, okay, now you're going to find out who God is. And to them, God is Lucifer. Right? Or they say he's like the light bearer.
Disney had the 33rd or 33 club. Is that Club 33? Something like that at Disney World. That was part, I think that was the reason, actually, because he was a Mason.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, too, they have had certain Masons who were openly like Henry Ford. Like he figured it out who they were subservient to, and for the rest of his life he was angry. And the guys that created Dodge, I forgot their name off the top of my head. They're two brothers, and Dodge's symbol was the Star of Remphan, the 6-pointed star.
Yep.
Yeah, and Ford was against him because he was ousted. He figured it out. He rebelled, and so Ford and Dodge had their issues. But if you notice something about Dodge now, they have these cars, you know, these names like Demon and Devil, all this, you know, the Ram, that weird Ram head, you know, you kind of notice there's some weirdness about it. I love Chargers. I love the Dodge Chargers. It's a great car, but you start to notice the symbolism there too. Now, what we were talking about with this Crooks guy, there's all this weird talk that maybe he was a product of the Masons, or maybe he was a product of the MKUltra program sponsored by shadow government, i.e. Masonry. What do you think about that, Anna?
Well, like I said, I'm kind of I'm on the fence when it comes to the actual assassination attempt. I really am on the fence. I mean that genuinely. But when it comes to that kid, there's a lot of extremely suspicious stuff. So if ever there was a candidate, I would say it's highly likely he probably was. And there was so much suspicious stuff that day. I mean, like, the kid was on the roof with a bunch of FBI agents. Weren't they inside the building that he was, like, on the roof of? There were actual agents, I think, inside the building that he would climbed up on top of, or something like that. And then they had said that they couldn't be up on top because it was too much of a hazard for the agents, which was just, like, completely unheard of, especially for a presidential event. There was a bunch of other extremely suspicious stuff going on that day. There's video of a woman in the crowd where she wasn't ducking down or something like that. She was acting like she knew something was about to happen, and she was filming in the direction, and she wasn't acting surprised at all when the shots rang out. And it turned out later on that that woman was one of the higher ups at the FBI, like really high up. So there was something going on that day, in my opinion. And then on top of that, if I'm not mistaken, and I haven't verified this myself, but I did hear that there was some kind of some kind of like cell phone tracking that they did where that kid had gone in and out of an FBI field office on multiple occasions. Now, why would a kid like that be going in and out of an FBI field office, you know?
Well, one of the things that could be said is that he was already being looked at. I mean, that's what I heard. Like that's the official. Like they were
Like
already
they were
looking
gonna
at him,
recruit him.
and they were looking at his computer and the things he was saying and doing.
Oh,
I'm not saying I believe it either way. I'm just giving them that plausibility that maybe that's what they were. That's what
yeah,
they say. Like I've had
yeah,
people say that on the intranets, intrawebs, that
yeah,
he was already being looked at. So he was, like, hey, we got to keep an eye on this guy.
yeah.
And that is a plausible.
Some pretty handy plausible deniability too. Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
But
it's
who
like,
knows?
and it's pretty handy that he got shot dead too, so he couldn't be questioned. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, exactly. Who knows? Who knows?
And most people don't believe he acted alone either. I mean,
Right. Yeah. I certainly lean toward him being probably either a patsy or somebody that was a victim of that program. I think I'm not one of those people that thinks that every single time there's some kind of a mass shooting or something of that nature, that it's always a false flag. Um, but I will say pretty much every time there's some big event, I always look for the details to question if there are symptoms of one, because I do know that they absolutely do that. Crisis actors are a very real thing, absolutely. Uh, and anyone who thinks otherwise, they have not looked into it deeply enough. I mean, the evidence of it is absolutely overwhelming. These are things that really do happen to push certain narratives in society, for instance, for gun control. I mean, they're always trying to sway us under the guise of convenience, safety, or it's for the children. It seems to always be one of those three things. They're always trying to brainwash us under the guise of one of those in order to change laws in a favorable fashion toward whatever new thing they're going to want to enact. And of course, gun control is a big part of that, because these big sweeping measures that they want for the future, tons of them, they're not going to be able to do when guns outnumber citizens in America. And really, the Second Amendment is one of the only things that's preventing so many of the things that they really are itching to do to us. And some of those things are just beyond imagination. And unfortunately, they're always pushing this narrative, oh, it's for the children. How could you possibly um, not want to take away guns to save the children? And I'm thinking to myself, gun-free zones are one of the dumbest concepts on planet Earth. You're just putting a target on everyone's back. I mean, like, if you want to protect the children, you should be arming and training the teachers and putting armed guards in the schools. Why would you want to tell psychopaths that it's a gun-free zone? That's just insane. But logic isn't really the strong suit of some of these people. So anyway, I went off on a total tangent. I think this guy, there's a high likelihood he probably was part of one of these programs, but I think there are tons of these victims of these programs. Some of them go into it in childhood and they go through this trauma-based mind control programming that fractures their mind, and they don't even realize they've gone through the program because they have these amnesic barriers between these different program personalities. And so, there could be Susie, homemaker housewife, that thinks that she's living a normal life, and she gets a call on the telephone with a code word that triggers a personality she didn't even know that she had, and suddenly a completely different side of her comes out, that is completely unaware of this other life that she's living. And so the whole Manchurian Candidate thing, it's a very real phenomenon. And this congressional hearing that just happened the other day, that's basically what they said. This is very real. It's really happening. It's been done, and they are continuing to do it to this day.
And just real quick here, just to say this, about the Masons or whatever. I wanted to throw that out there because South Carolina, I put his comment right there. Yeah, these people, they were friends of mine, right? And they thought that I wanted to join. That was the whole point. I've never had like a random one come up to me and go, hey, we're just standing in line at the taco shop here. Do you want to? Nobody's ever done that. These are people who they belong to a lodge and they're friends. They do their own thing and I didn't join, but they thought that I was interested in it. And so, yeah, just so you know, to clarify, I've never had a random ever come up to me and ask me that. And I've known a lot of them, a lot of Masons over the years. And some of them from my friends. And so, you know, we were talking, hanging out one night, and they were just like, and they didn't actually invite me. They just said, you should join, which is them basically saying you should ask to join. And I did not. So it's not my thing. And if you're a Mason, I'm not against you. You're not my enemy. It's nothing against you. There are a lot of good people who are Masons. I'm talking about at the very top, you know, and I don't even know if it's all lodges. I just know that there are people who have joined, and when they get to a certain level, they start to get a certain knowledge, because it's not all just community and helping. It's going to eventually end up where it always ends up, and that is in the spiritual realm, because we are ultimately spiritual beings having a physical experience, not the other way around. People mistake that. They're like, well, I had a spiritual experience. That's your natural state of being, dude. I mean, you're supposed to be having spiritual experiences. So just to clarify that. So what you're talking about, though, you know, when it comes to these sleeper cells and people, it goes back to this. And I got to say this, and I've been on this for a while, this topic. We were granted alien technology. Now, when you're granted alien technology, it's not, this is what's crazy. I had somebody argue with me. I was at this UFO conference, and this guy was like, well, what you were saying, and he was one of those, he was an egghead, that person. And those people always look at a guy like me, and they're like, oh, this guy, I'm going to school this man. He doesn't know his math, you know, like whatever. And he was like, well, actually, basically, you know, he does that, you know, and his body's too small for his head. His head's wobbling. I'm joking. I'm kidding. All right. He did collapse him. No, his head, it was an olive on a toothpick. He was just an annoying guy. And I was talking to Chris James. He's a really nice guy. And this other dude was kind of there. I won't say his name because I don't know if he's Chris's friend or not, but he was kind of buzzing around. And I'm just like, you know, you just want to push his head over, like, you know. But he was like, actually, basically kind of guy, you know, makes you sound smarter if you say those kind of things. Preface it with actually, basically. So he was really annoying. And he said, alien technology is not the be all end all. I said, no shit. We've had it ourselves. There's nothing new under the sun. I was like, read the Bible. I read real books, not fairy tales. And as soon as he said that, I was like, okay. That tells you where he's at, right? He's that way, and he's goofy, you know? So he was trying to tell me that this alien technology, that's not correct. It's something we've had for a long, long time. And I said, yeah, okay. So it's kind of like this. Let me put it to you in layman terms, okay? An analogy is you buy a tool, right? And it could be any tool. Let's just say you buy some clamps for whatever, you know, and you put them in the box after you use them one time, and then they get lost in your loft or in your garage, which is where I keep most of my tools, but in the garage, right? And then you're looking around, you're like, whatever happened to those? Oh, well, time to go to Harbor Freight and get another cheap pair. So you go and you buy another one, and then you're moving 10 years later and you find them. Oh, there they are. Oh, I'll use them now. That's what alien technology is. That's literally what it does. But people like this can't even grasp that concept that we've always had it. It's there, but it resurfaced. When it resurfaced was during and shortly after World War II. And I got to say this, and this is why people don't understand when I'm talking. They can't comprehend. They can't keep up. And so they get mad. And they're like, I'm the smart guy. You know, I went to MIT. I mean, great. You're the smartest guy in the room, but you're also dumb. Because when you stop and you look at this, what do you think the gremlins of World War II were? What do you think they were? What do you think the Foo Fighters were? You don't think that they were out there monitoring us to see, you know, whatever? And you don't believe that there was alien technology being used on both sides? And this was a war fought by proxy? And I said this in a group one time, and these people got so aggravated. And it was an ancient civilizations group. And I'm like, Why is that so crazy? And I said, what about Troy? What about it? You don't think Troy? Here was a question that was posed to me by a listener a while back. They said, I was reading up on the Iliad, and I'll bring this full circle. And Anna's looking at me like, what the hell is he talking about?
No. I have something to add, but go ahead.
Okay. All right. So Troy, the Battle of Troy. And this person asked me a question. And this is to answer your question, Tony. And Tony, I'm going to be doing your story soon. This guy's name is Tony M. I'm not going to say his last name, but Tony, well, I don't think he really cares. But Tony, he asked a question. And he's Italian. And his mother is second generation. So his grandparents came over, not his dad's side, his mom's side. And they were from Italy, Rome to be exact, right outside of Rome. And he says, I'm very interested in my history. And so I told him, I said, start with the Iliad. And he's like, that's Greek. And I said, yes. But the Romans claim their history from someone, from the Iliad, and that's Aeneas, right? So when you read about when you read the Iliad, you're wondering, why did all these supposed Greek gods, why were so many of them supporting the Trojans? And then you realize that is a later concept that was added by the Romans after they had defeated the Etruscans. And people act like the Romans just appeared. They were there for a long time. There's proof that they were trading with the Cretans for ages. Like 1000 BC, almost like 890 something, whatever. So when you stop and you look at that as because they claim that their heritage, Romulus and Remus, were descended from Aeneas. Like when they escaped Troy, it was the gods who had fought that war against the other gods by proxy, right? According to their belief. And you had two opposing sides. You had Troy, and then you had Sparta, Athens, and the other Greek city-states who launched an attack on Troy. Now, we know Troy being in modern-day Turkey, Asia Minor, as they called it, and Schliemann, he was the one that found that Troy was a real place. So when I said something about Troy, I said the gods were fighting a war by proxy. Oh, gods, and they laughed. I said, not gods as in the way that, God, the Most High, but the Watchers. The Anunnaki, whatever you want to call them. That was a proxy war. What do you think Afghanistan was? I'm not talking about our Afghanistan. I'm talking about the real Afghanistan, the Russian Vietnam. That was a proxy war where we propped up the Mujahideen to defeat the Soviet Union. They were there for 10 years and they got their asses handed to them. Breaking any sort of myth of invincibility, they didn't have any invincibility because the Germans would have wiped the floor with them if it was a fair fight, but it wasn't. We gave them like thousands of trucks. GMC sent them trucks to mobilize their troops, to move them back and forth to the front. And that war was won by the United States industry. I'm telling you 100%. People that don't know history, they'll say things, they don't know what they're talking about. Now, what does it have to do with what we're talking about? What I mean is these are wars that are being fought by the gods, and they're using people as the proxy. And Troy was definitely that. So that's your history of the Roman history. They're like, oh, so all these gods, save for a few who were losers, right? They were going for the Trojans. Well, if that's the case, then why did they lose? Why did the Trojans get obliterated if all the gods are pretty much on their side? Oh, well, that's also that Aeneas could escape, and then he could go and found Rome, and then Rome got their revenge by enslaving, Greece for 600 years or whatever it was. Okay, fine. And so you claim your victory that way. That's great through lineage. But it doesn't change, the facts that this is what it is. And I do believe that the alien technology was being used before and during World War II. And I think that we were enacting this alien technology. Their war was being fought. I think it was this, and I'll tell you who it was. I think it was the Nordics, and they were fighting against the reptilians. And I do believe that, and I believe that the Nordics lost. But the Nordics still have the poles, and they have these bases that cannot be penetrated by the Drakes. That sounds completely cuckoo bananas for somebody who does not know, that is not initiated. but most of our audience is initiated, so they understand, right? Yeah. That's my opinion. And then the weaponry was being used. So shortly after World War II, this is what happened. They're like, well, why did they bring all these Nazi scientists over here? That's the dumbest. Why wouldn't they? You would bring the enemy's people to you. That's what Alexander did. That's what Genghis did. That's what every conqueror, Tamerlane, you name it. Julius, he did the same thing. He brought all the smart, strong people from Gaul, and he brought them back with him. They didn't just hang out in France. And no, we're going to stay here. You'll go ahead, Julius. He's like, no, you're coming back with me. And you're going to bring a bunch of your men too, because some of my friends down in Italy don't like me no more, and I might need you. So bring the worst people, the really bad ones and the really smart ones, and let's go. This is what you do. It's conquering 101. So you bring the conquered people, smart people, back with you, and you throw them into circulation, and they get to work doing what they do. You were working on something. Oh, yes, it was a bomb. Can you finish that, sir? Because we need it now, because after we destroyed you, we figured out we were wrong. We're not going to ever admit that, but we need to go after the Soviets because they are effed up. And the Germans were like, okay, and they got to work. That's what happened. That is literally what happened. I'm telling you the absolute truth. That technology, where do you think it came from? That technology has been there for 1 billion years. It just resurfaces from time to time. And then we act like we figured it out and that we created it. So then you have the eggheads who have part of the story, and they say stupid things, like that guy was at the conference, was just like, well, you know, actually, basically, that's not correct. I was like, well, that's your version of events. Great. Go ahead. I'll see it. Be sure to vote for Pelosi when she runs. I know you will. And that's it. That's all you need to say to that person. The bottom line is, though, is that is what is going on. It resurfaces, it comes back, and then the MKUltra thing. You don't think that somewhere back in history they already had this technology, and it did come from an alien source? And why do I say that? Why do I say these things? Because we came from an alien source. It's true. The truth be told, that is why you know. Mm-hmm. And so that's my opinion on that. And people don't want to hear it. They want to believe that, you know, we're just discovering all these things. Why did the world change so rapidly over the last 100 years? You mean to tell me that everything was just horses and carriages and stuff, and then 100 years ago, all of a sudden now we're up in space? That is the most ridiculous concept ever. Now, we're not going to the moon. I don't care what anybody says. They can say what they want, but we're up in space, right? At least the where we can, you know, infantile, whatever. But that quick in one like, you know, whole 100-year span in 1 century. What do you think about this? I know what I know it's a lot to unravel. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, real quick, I just wanted to touch on the World War II aspect of it. I've always mentioned to people, why do you suppose Hitler, when he was dark eyed, suppose he was so obsessed with blonde hair, blue-eyed master race, you know? This sort of archetype of the Nordic, you always hear about the Nordic alien. And then there was Maria Orsic, is that how you say her name? And there was the Vril Society. Maria Orsic, the head of the Vril Society.
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to think of her name. Can you look it up, Anthony? I don't think that's her name. Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Maria Orsic, and she had the long blonde hair. And when you look at photos of her, I mean, she's stunningly beautiful. You look at her and you go, she looks like, again, kind of the archetype of what you would picture being like a Nordic alien. And she literally said that she was channeling the blueprints for UFOs, and they have those old videos where the Nazis were building the primitive prototypes of UFOs, and they didn't get very far off the ground, but they have the videos where they were doing test flights of them. And we all know that Hitler was obsessed with the occult and gathering all of these artifacts from all over the world, and he was sending his people out to gather these things from the four corners of the earth. So when you really dig into it, and I won't go into a whole thing, but there's actually quite a bit of evidence that he was working with this species, you know, and And then when the war started to go south, this woman, Maria, she just disappeared into thin air. And in my opinion, she just went home. She went back to the mothership, so to speak. But nobody knows whatever happened to her. And I would encourage people, if they're not familiar with the history of all of that, to look into it, look into the Vril Society, look into her. And yeah, it's like, why in the world would he be obsessed with a race that looks like that when it looked nothing like him himself?
What was her last name again?
Maria Orsic, I believe. Starts with an O.
Okay.
It's so weird because the picture that I got of her is she's dark haired. That is weird.
Let me pull this up.
It says Maria Orsic is a figure from the Nazi occult and UFO conspiracy lore, often described as a medium or mystic linked to the Vril Society. The claims around her include telepathic technical messages and secret flying saucer projects.
Yeah, it's black and white photos. Some of them kind of look like dark hair, but she was blonde. And in the Vril Society, they had this belief that the women had to grow, they could never cut their hair because it was their method of channeling. They felt that if they cut their hair, they wouldn't be able to have these psychic channeling processes.
Yeah. I've read all about it. And the whole term too was what's his name? Edward Bulwer Lighton. His name is Lighton. I know that. His name is Edward Bull. I don't know. Let's see if you can look it up. He's an English writer. He's the one that founded it. The Maria Orsic. That's weird because her name for some reason I thought was different. Maybe he just said it. Maria. Somebody said Maria Orsic.
Blatz.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
You were probably thinking of that name.
Blavatsky.
Yeah, considerably less attractive, but yeah.
Yes, that's who it was. Yeah. Okay, I was thinking of Madame Blavatsky because during World War I, and I'm thinking the Thule Society. I'm just
different mystical society, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, they were all connected too.
Right.
And this idea that Hitler too was like obsessed with the occult. When people say that, not you, but I mean, it's just I kind of cringe because they were all looking for these same things, like the Spear of Destiny, Gilgamesh's tomb. The Soviets were sending people. Stalin was obsessed with it, and so was Churchill. They were all looking for the same artifacts, for whatever.
That's interesting. I didn't know Churchill was.
Oh yeah, he had sent there was a story about him going into the Congo and the Belgian king. I forgot his name at that time. He was from Belgium, and one of his descendants was another butthole or whatever. But they did a joint venture, and a bunch of people got killed. And then he had the whole thing happen. What was that thing that happened? Bless you. What was it happened with him and the ship that blew up? What's it called? With Churchill, he got in a bunch of trouble. So he had to redeem himself.
No, Gallipoli?
Gallipoli. Well, I thought Gallipoli wasn't that the name of the battle?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was in when he fought against the Turks during World War I.
Yeah, it was a colossal failure that he wanted to redeem himself.
Yeah, he wanted to redeem himself.
He was demoted after it.
Yeah, there was a naval ship though that went down and killed like hundreds of people. And Gallipoli was a big mess. But he was trying to redeem himself. And one of the things he was supposed to do, which I thought was another really cowardly thing on his part, he was supposed to go with this expedition to the Congo, and he was like, "Oh, that's dangerous." He sent people to go in his place, and they all died. Well, they never came back.
Oh,
and it was classified, but then declassified because the Soviets knew everything that was going on, and so he ended up, being a coward. I mean, he never would do. He was cowardly. And it was weird too, and this was something I was going to talk about tomorrow, but like I said, July 4th, tomorrow I'm not going to do it. But he went after Germany for invading Poland, but Germany was allied to Russia at that time, and they both invaded Poland. So why did you go after one and not the other? That's the strange thing. And I'm pretty sure I know why. I'm pretty sure I think that he was going after Germany because he wanted to fight Germany to redeem himself. He was not interested in fighting the communists. At first, he was going into parliament and railing on the communists, but then when he saw Hitler rise up, he thought that they were weaker than the Soviet Union. He thought they were the weaker enemy. And until he, they weren't a threat until they helped Franco in Spain. And then he used that as like, oh, look what they did. Then he turned and started saying they were doing, they were rearming. They'd already rearmed. And Mussolini had sounded the alarm that there were, 100,000 troops on the border in Austria, when there were. But they were both considered fascists. But Mussolini was not a fan of Hitler. He had his own ambitions. And he tried to ally with the British, and they didn't want that. They wanted to make a deal with Russia. And a lot of it stemmed from, I believe, my opinion was the occult, the expeditions that Russia was sending, because Churchill wanted a shortcut. He believed that he could get one if he found one of these artifacts. I mean, they dug up half of Scotland looking for the Holy Grail because they believed that it was. Now, people have asked this question, like, why would the Grail end up in England or France? That's because of the Crusades.
Right.
Yeah. And it was looted, supposedly, and they brought it back, and that's why it ended up in France and then in England. Now, why would it end up in Scotland? That's the question. I could do a whole show on that. But that was because of the Knights Templar. The Rosicrucians and the Templars, two different things, but still kind of like we were talking about the Vril and the Thule. They work together, but they're separate, and it ended up, I think, when they got killed, the Friday the 13th and all that, they split for Scotland, because Scotland was a traditional ally of France, because for centuries they had an alliance against England and the Jacobites. It's a whole thing, right? So they ended up like going to Scotland, and then they buried it in the Scottish hills. And this is true. Like during World War II, a lot of people don't realize this, but Churchill was digging up all of Scotland trying to find that. I mean, there are Scottish people that were coming forward saying, hey, these British, soldiers were coming to our land and looking for something. I know what it was. They were looking for the Grail. And that would have been, like, to them, the tipping point. They could use the power of this cup. They believed that there was power there. To me, it smacks of desperation and ignorance, but to them, it was, we're going to find this. And the Spear of Longinus was another one. The Soviets claimed that they knew where it was at, that it was in Asia Minor. And they were going to find it, and they had paid the government of Turkey a lot of money. And then later, it was supposedly in Afghanistan. And oddly enough, there's all these people in Afghanistan, we got to stop them. What's weird, though, is that they invaded Afghanistan under these weird circumstances, different reasons, none of them were good. And then we invaded because supposedly they did 9/11. And that's where Osama bin Laden was, or whatever, which I just didn't buy it. They were looking for something. They found giants,
the Kandahar giant. Yeah.
Kandahar, yeah. But they didn't find what they were looking for, which was the Spear of Destiny. And supposedly, and I've heard this, there's been talk, people have said that the giants, they guard it, and that they are the offspring of the Olead, and that they guard that spear, or maybe even use it. I don't know. But it is the Spear of Longinus, and they look for it, and they haven't found it. And then we know through Hillary Clinton's emails, they were looking for Gilgamesh. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's there. I mean, the Steam files say it. There's some weird stuff going on, folks. If you stop looking at everything from the base level of the matrix that they've overlaid, and you start looking through it, you start to see the real reality of what they were doing and what they were looking for, and the Nordic connection. I believe this is weird because everybody's always asking that question. Hitler was dark-haired. He wasn't blonde-haired, blue-eyed Aryan. He was Austrian. Most Austrians are dark-haired. They're white people, but their hair is as dark as mine. I know several Austrians, and their hair is dark, and a lot of them have dark eyes, and so why would he, an Austrian, be talking all this about the blonde hair, blue eyed Aryans and stuff like that? I don't think it was a physical human being thing. I think it was his homage to the Nordics. Yeah. And when you look at Albert, what's his name, the pilot? God, my brain's not working tonight. Geez Louise, I was just reading about him like a few days ago.
The Inner Earth guy.
Yeah, and he was in Antarctica. Yeah. So
I don't know why I'm blanking on it either. I know it.
You're not talking about Admiral Byrd?
Admiral Byrd.
Yeah.
What did I just call him?
Albert.
I can't. Earlier you were talking about Maria Ostrich. My mind is just. I'm sorry, folks. I'm going through a hell of a lot right now. But when you look at Admiral Byrd, I mean, one of his expeditions, he talks about seeing swastikas, and he got pulled in, and they sat him down and they said, "Hey, this is a whole society, a whole civilization here," and their aircraft had swastikas on it. But they're an ancient inner Earth civilization.
Yeah. Well, it's actually a very, very ancient symbol. I know most people are probably aware of that, but it's a very ancient symbol.
And it's actually considered to be a sacred symbol by 3 different religions. You know, the Hindus and the Buddhists revere that symbol. That symbol has been around for a long, long time. And the symbol, the Star of Remphan, is actually one of the Masonic symbols, and it's also used on the flag of, but it's said in the Bible, and it's been talked about very negatively by a lot of societies, civilizations, that it is not a good thing.
Yeah.
And it is the symbol of an oppressor. And there have been people who've claimed that they've had reptilians on ships that they've seen that star with like a flaming whatever on there. It's come up several times. And by the same token, the Nordics have that Swazi on there.
Yeah, people can poo-poo it, but symbols have power. I mean, they do. Words and symbols, they absolutely have power.
Yeah. So what we were talking about earlier with the MKUltra thing, what are your thoughts on that, Anna? What do you think? Do you think that Crooks was an MK patsy? I mean, what is your honest opinion on it?
Yeah, like I said, I wish I had a more distinct one. I think it's equally probable that he was a patsy, that he was a victim of the MKUltra program. I mean, I think there's still a possibility even that like all things, I'm not one of those black and white thinkers. When it comes to Trump, I will acknowledge good things that he's done, but I will criticize the bad. It bothers me a lot. You've probably seen that I gripe about that on Facebook when people are they can only think in black and white and they don't really have any flexibility. So I think it's possible that it was staged, but maybe it wasn't. I really don't know. So in his case, I'm just not entirely sure. The only thing I do know for certain is that there have been plenty of them that were definitely MKUltra victims.
Yeah.
And also, before we wrap up for the day, let me know, because I came across something earlier, an entertainer, because it's somebody I'd never even heard of before, because I'm getting old and I don't keep up on any of that crap anymore.
You're getting old. What are you, in your late 30s?
No, I'm in my early 40s.
Oh, okay. You're still not old.
Yeah, not that far off. Yeah. But when I was younger, I used to go to concerts all the time, and I was in the Matrix, I knew who all the singers were and all the actors and actresses, and for, like a good 15 years now, I just have not cared at all. I've been totally unplugged from all of that. So I don't have a clue who anyone is anymore for the most part. And there was this singer that I just totally randomly came across it just shortly before we went live today, actually. And I think it was meant to be, because it was just a short that I came across on YouTube, and it was from one of her concerts. And I absolutely guarantee this chick is an example of somebody that grew up very likely in the MKUltra program. She has all the symbolism in all of her concerts, all of her music videos. and I forget her exact name. I'll pull it up here. I wrote it down on my phone. But I wrote down a quote from one of her concerts, and it is a straight up invocation from the fallen ones. I mean, you could not possibly get more direct. So I'll read it to you guys, but we don't need to do it right now, but just I want to make sure to not forget. So before we wrap up, remind me.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It definitely applies.
Folks. I'm not even that tired. I just when you yawn, other people start getting tired too. And I'm sorry, folks. And that was not swiping on. I promise you were not boring me.
Yeah.
What you're talking about, well, what you're talking about though, is a very boring subject. We're gonna move on. So I'm joking. No. What you're talking about though, that happens quite a bit. And I do believe that there is a connection between a lot of these singers and these influencers and MKUltra. I mean, and if anybody's interested, go look at Chris Garitano. What was his show called?
The Haunting We Will Go.
No, that's his project he's doing. I'm talking about the on TV. He had several.
Oh, the Discovery Channel.
He had
the Strange Files.
No, I'm not talking about the Strange World. That's a good show too. Don't get me wrong, but it was about MKUltra, his project.
Oh, Montauk Project.
Montauk Chronicles. Go read Montauk Chronicles. Yeah, White Phosphorus Films. The guy's got a lot of stuff, good stuff that to sink your teeth into. Big TV guy. He was at my conference. And, we hung out. Good dude. I like him a lot. He's been on my show a couple times, and we talk about all kinds of weird stuff. And he's got this ghost project he's doing now. Somebody had said that their friend had gotten a swastika tattooed on their neck. I wouldn't recommend that, but there is no backwards. That's a myth. They say, oh, the turn this way, it's the Nazis, and turn the other way, it's not. No. Tony's mother has these mandalas, and they just hang in the house. And if you didn't know that they were Vietnamese, you'd think, well, this house is full of white supremacists, and they just they spin and they turn, and there is no correct way. That is the biggest myth ever. They've made that into like this. Oh, well, the Nazis took it and perverted it and whatever. Well, it was there before the Nazis. Madame Blavatsky, who we were talking about earlier, she was one of the people using that, and the Thule Society and the Vril. Now, the Vril, I do believe that shot off into something else, because the Vril energy, which was something that the Nordics and the reptilians were fighting for. And there is a type of reptilian known as the Vril. And they are apparently vampiric. There's a whole thing. We've talked about it on the other show. We're not going to talk about it here. But yeah, so there is no right way or wrong way for that to be. Yeah, I imagine he would, Leo. She's saying that it really changed him. He got his wish. Yeah, you probably will if you go around wearing that. I mean, it's just because the world has been galvanized to believe that was this bad symbol. And that's how the world works. They take the evil symbol and turn it into, this is a good thing. The symbol that we're told in the Bible that you're not supposed to use, that it's, paying homage to Moloch and the temple of Remphan. And then the other symbol, which has been a holy symbol used for, thousands of years, that's become the bad symbol. You can't use that or wear it or do anything with it, which is crazy. I mean, that's just, everything is the flip side. It's just, that is why on the show we always say, welcome to the real reality, because the real reality is the one that's outside of the matrix. Go and listen to the episodes on Fridays that we were doing before I started doing this, and on the other show on Paranormal Roundtable, and you'll listen to the ones with Taki Ashram. And we got Sean on there and Richard and me and Anthony. And we go really deep into all of this esoteric weirdness. Yeah, and the Law Morgan hit the nail on the head there. Every day is opposite day. That's a problem, And when you have somebody that does something like this latest one, like with Charlie Kirk, the guy, how do we know that this guy did it? Okay, maybe he did it, maybe he didn't. But the bottom line is, if he did, we're never going to know one way or the other. And like Anna said, there are operatives that are given code words like, Clorox, they'll call up like somebody and say Clorox, and then they're like a ticking time bomb, and then they go and they execute whatever it is that they're supposed to execute. Just say the word, whatever the word is, and they go and they do what they do. And I do believe that this happens a lot more than we think. I think that people are not giving these organizations the credit that they deserve, because they are extremely powerful and extremely potent. And they're good at destroying people and messing up people's lives. I mean, that's what they do.
And then on top of that, you have to consider too that other than the people in these programs that they are highly specifically targeting, they're also kind of putting out a mass blast on the public through subliminal targeting, through radio and TV and movies. It's actually one of the big reasons I don't listen to most of the mainstream music anymore, because I know it's full of all of these subliminal frequencies. And yeah, it's full of all, even just mainstream TV and movies, they will flash undetectable subliminal messages on the screen that the human eye can't pick up on, but it'll say, like kill or murder or something crazy on the screen that your subconscious is picking up on. And so for people that are already unstable psychologically, or in heightened emotional states. And I think they say it only takes about 30 seconds for the human mind to go into an easily hypnotic state when you start watching a screen. And so, it's very easy to program an entire population that's already susceptible to it. And if you're already making people kind of emotionally unhinged through this constant onslaught of fear and hatred-based propaganda, then you can cause a lot of damage,
And on that thought, here's another thing too. I know during the election, when Hillary was running against Trump, there were people that were reporting, and this came up. It was weird, and I think it was on a Monday on one of our shows. And it came up, and I can't remember who brought it up, or maybe I brought it up, but there were people that were like saying, yeah. And I said this, and I remember seeing it in a group, and it wasn't a right-wing group. It was just a group, and I think it was about like magic or something, like one of these groups that was talking about, and I can't remember what the group was. Anyways, there was a group, and it was not magic, like just magic. It was like, if I remember correctly, it was about dreams and interpretation, but there were a lot of people in there that were doing things that were causing these dreams, right? Using certain substances and trying to fall into these hypnotic states, using frequencies. And if I remember correctly, it was brought up in one of these groups. And so it ended up on the show on like a Monday. And it was about Hillary Clinton and people that were having dreams right before the election. And they were like sensual dreams about her. Like she was this sexy. Yeah, I'm telling you, it was a weird thing. And there were several people who were saying, that they had heard of this. Not that they had the dream themselves, but they had heard of this happening. And it was during the election, or right before the election. I'm talking like September, October, leading into the election. And it was mostly men that were having these dreams, but some women reported it too. And I remember reading about that.
Else, they say.
I mean, yeah, and it was like her, like as this sort of sex symbol or whatever in the dream, and these people would wake up and be like, "Ugh, what the hell," But it was like her as this young, good-looking woman, and you can't tell me that all those people had that dream,
right?
Like there were all these people having that dream about her.
Well, for people that don't think that subliminals are being used on us, I mean, I came across an old archived, I think it was a New York Times article, some very mainstream publication. I'm pretty sure it was the New York Times. And it was published way back in the 1980s. And it was discussing the use of subliminals in mainstream grocery stores and department stores, and the percentage that shoplifting had dropped since they had started putting subliminal messaging in the music in department stores with messages to not shoplift, basically. that would go into people's subconscious mind. So, I mean, they've been using it just in stores to tell people not to shoplift since the 80s. Imagine what they're doing today. Of course they're using it.
Yeah, and Richard just put on there, Wolf, remember when people dreamed about Geordie Rose from D-Wave Quantum Computer? Yes, for years before it became public, and it was all over America. In fact, they did a show about it on the Y-Files. I think it was the Y-Files. I think AJ did that. Great guy. But dude, you know, so you have this weird dynamic, like you were saying, they can make you not do bad things with subliminal messaging, but by the same token, they can. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Somebody said fruity pebbles are a beautiful thing. That just made me laugh. Sorry, go ahead.
But they can make you do bad things too. They can make you not do them or do them. And they definitely, I mean, imagine frequencies from the sound coming from TV shows. They're tapping in through sound, you know, that's for sure, 100%. You know, and I do, and going back to what we were talking about earlier about the Watchers, whatever, remember there were 200 and they all taught something different to humanity. And there were things that were learned from them. Now, over the years, I believe that it has been visited and revisited. And every time we're like, oh, we just discovered this. You didn't. In Gabon, in the country, they found this nuclear reactor that was supposedly 2 million years old. I mean, and that should have been the biggest news that's ever existed. Instead, it was just like, oh, yeah, well, that happened. And Fox News coming out and saying that we have 4 alien species now. And everybody's just kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Speaking of Fox News, now Trump's back on this. His approval rating is what, the lowest of any president since Nixon during Watergate?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, and Bush during the 2008 financial crisis. I'm not sure which of those two was lowest, but Trump is now at the lowest. And obviously the Fox News rating is going to be the most generously favorable to Trump, and it's at like 31%. Things are not looking great. Yeah, things are kind of in the toilet when it comes to the approval rating. I mean, even the conservatives are not too happy with what's going on. The Iran conflict is not popular. And also, I don't know if while I had to disappear for a little while, you guys already covered this, but I'm assuming most everyone probably saw that massive explosion in Lebanon, the underground explosion. And I know a lot of people have been saying that looked suspiciously like a nuke. And I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that, because I'm sure you're
1 million people.
Yeah. I'm sure you're far more well versed on that than I am.
So the nuclear program of Israel has never been documented. Think about that. Everyone in the entire world who has a nuclear program has to be shown, you know, by the UN. And the one country who has never shown their nukes is Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And then their neighbors are all the bad guys, so they're not allowed to have them. Only they are supposed to have them.
Right.
And here recently they've been saying, oh yeah, we're going to nuke the world if you don't do what we want. I mean,
exactly. Yep.
I mean, they've said this multiple times, and then they were burning the American flag when we decided we didn't want to fight Iran anymore. That doesn't bode well for us, a country that is literally just basically run by them. And we can get into this more in depth tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Anna and I will be on tomorrow night, even though it's July 4th, and you'll have your celebrations and everything. And then we'll be on tomorrow night on Rumble, and it'll be our 4th of July episode. We'll talk about it. And I want you guys to listen to what we're going to talk about. We will get into that tomorrow. We're going to do some of that because I do love my country. I love Texas. And the rest of the country. Texas, you know, I had this conversation with my dad on Father's Day. We were talking, and I got to say this. They are using the Middle Eastern oil, and some of the stupidest people I've ever met have said the stupidest things. Like, well, we're using their oil first, so then we'll still have our oil. No, that is what school did you go to? And what did they do? What did they teach you? Did they just hit you upside the head with a hammer every day and then you went home? Because that's literally what some of these conservative people have told me. And I'm like, you have to be either you're smoking the good stuff or you're doing something's wrong. Something is really, you've been dropped on your head, and they will support anything that any Republican president rolls out there, which I guess is better than a Democrat president, but damn, dude. I mean, the stupid is so thick. You can barely breathe around these people. Texas has enough oil to power the United States for 200 years. There is just one simple reason why they don't just get the oil from Texas, because Texas will become the richest country on earth. Now, hear what I said. Country, not state. Why would we need the United States? You don't. You do not. The United States will be completely out of the equation. And with that Saudi Arabian, basically Kuwait put together type of money, you would not need some benefactor. You don't need them. You don't need federal money. It is the most ridiculous thing. When you look at it correctly, it is the most ridiculous thing in the entire world. And what's funny is a lot of these foreign countries know it, but then people that live right here in my own state don't know it. There should not be one poor person in Texas. Not one. And why are our oil wells capped when we have the Gulf Shelf and Wolf Camp? Why do we need the rest of the country? The rest of the country is an albatross around our necks. And there is no reason for it at all. None. They keep us under control. They threaten us with a no-fly zone and all those others. Dude, I'm telling you, we would be the most powerful nation in the entire world. And if more people understood this and knew this, but that power is in the hands of a few of these elites, and they answer to those people. And when you start looking, and we'll talk about it tomorrow, we'll get into it, and I'll tell you the real deal. I mean, it is unbelievable when you sit there and you look at the power that is beneath our feet. Like, why would we answer to you? It doesn't make sense. The dog is walking the owner. That is what's crazy about this. So I cannot understand for the life of me why we are subject to the laws and rules of this, and this goofy little group of psychophants that suck up to the, whatever, the powers that be. That's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. Now, I'm going to tell you this. I got this right here. I love America. I love America. America is my country. But I don't need you. You see, there's a difference. I love the rest of my country. I love it. And people are always like, why is Texas so arrogant? Probably because we don't need you, dude. But we get treated like a stepchild by the rest of the country. I know this when I've gone abroad. Oh, you're from Texas. And they look at you like you're some hillbilly or you're some idiot or you're somebody, and they think that we're just riding around on steers and whatever, like we don't know what electricity is. And I get tired of that shit. And I can tell you this right now. I'm like, we would be the richest country on earth. Literally, hands down. We have more oil than the Middle East. Don't let them lie to you and tell you. I live here. I know. I have family in the industry. Wolf Camp is humongous. The Gulf Shelf is humongous. And it's just full of oil and natural gas. The only reason that we buy it from the Middle East is one reason, and there is one reason only. And that is the country that is invading Lebanon right now. That country. That is the only reason, because if we don't pay off their enemies, they will, if all the Arabs went to the border and started spitting, they would drown. That country would be underwater. So we're throwing everything we have, and now they're saber rattling with Turkey. Well, when you look at the greater, map, that makes sense, because they have to take 35% of Turkey They have to take, like, I think 75% of Syria, all of Lebanon, all of Jordan, part of Egypt, which I think 25% of Egypt. I mean, obviously Palestine is swallowed up. I mean, then you start to see it for what it really is. And we're in the middle of this jack move that they're doing to the Middle East, and we're supposed to just deal with it and support it. I don't think we, as the state, I would say the nation, but that would be correct. We don't have a dog in this fight. And that's one of the reasons why I like Tucker. People are like, Tucker's crazy. And that guy should flip his lid. He's just nuts. The guy sits up there and says the exact thing that needs to be said. Alex is saying the same thing. You know, all of these people, the Hodge twins are saying it. Mark is saying it. Candace is saying it. They're all saying the same thing. And all of a sudden, everybody's like, oh, they're just cuckoo for cocoa. They've all lost their minds. Are you serious? So everybody who supported MAGA, which is now MIGA, right? They're not down with these MIGAs, right? So now they're all crazy. Every one of them has just lost their minds. I know what it is. The aliens hit them with a weird megahertz, and it flipped their brain. Their brain is now, it's been flipped over and it's frying like bacon. Right? That's what happened. It's not that they woke up and said, hey, man, something is seriously wrong. They just decided to go. Do you know what they did? They smoked some meth. That's what they did. They went to a party. Alex is like, hey, guys, you know, I got some. I live down in Austin, so I got this. Candace, come on, let's get high as a mother. Let's do it. And Candace is like, you know what? Let's go. Let's do it. Let me call up the Hodge twins. And they're like, yeah, we can come up there, bro. We're going to smoke that shit, bro. It's on. And then Sean Ryan's like, well, I thought about it before. You know, let's give it a whirl. Let's
stop smoking Sherm and start smoking
every one of them. And then Mark Dice was like, you know what? I'm on a plane right now, guys. He drops the mic at Venice Beach. He's there. They all meet at the party. Secret tunnels and everything. They're down there. The Nordics are there. They're like, here you go. Smoke your brains out. Become Nazis. That is literally what happened. I just gave you the exact playbook. That's what happened. Who did I leave out? Did I leave out anybody? They all just flipped their lids. They're just nutty. Oh, don't forget the main one, Tucker. He's there on his throne. He's like, I'm glad you're here, guys. Came all the way from Maine. Let's do this. Let's just hate Israel for no reason. Let's smoke some meth. You know? And they just did it. That's what they did. They had a rave. After the rave, and their shirts were swinging, and everybody's just like, woo, wow. That's crazy, man. That's Bohemian Grove on steroids right there, guys. Yep. And then the MAGA people were like, we ain't down with that. No. I don't follow that. Ron Levine. That's my guy. Your eyebrows must be this thick for me. They called up Ben. Ben, we done flipped our lids here. You guys are in big trouble. You never should have done that. You're just like Jesus. That's why he got killed, because he was a rebel. That, folks, is what happened. That is what went down. I have it on good authority. That is what happened. And now they are all crazy. They're nutty. They've all flipped and turned the corner, and they're just like, I don't know, man. I like the good old days when they weren't Chinese operatives. And then you got Bongino, little monkey face. I don't know what happened.
Lego head.
That's all I hear when he talks, with that weird apple head. That weird. And he's got the little eyes. He's just, I just can't. I don't know with these people, man.
He's really been crashing out.
And then he gets on there and he talks about this mystery enemy. You know who I'm talking about, right? You sounds like Bill Cosby. You know, so because eating the Jello pudding pops. Who got his rules, a purple shirt, runs real fast. You know what I'm talking about? No, we don't, Don. But you're still going to keep talking, aren't you? The Phantom Menace is coming. And you're just like, dude, you are spinning out, man. Nobody knows what you're. Put down the crack, dude. Seriously.
He's gonna give himself a stroke.
He gets so mad, dude. And then the V comes in his.
Yeah, his veins start popping out. Yeah.
You know,
big mad.
Waiting for the reptilian mass to come out. The tongue flicks and eats a fly out of the air. Like, come on. You know, you sitting there watching these people spin like crazy. And I'll be honest, I'm a paranormal host doing this show. You know, I went the other direction. I started out in the deep water and then just said, let me go back to the shore and let's grab people and put them on the boat. These people were on the shore, putting their foot in the water, going, I don't know, water's kind of cold. That's why you got to be taking cold showers every day. So yeah, I guess I'm the Looney Tune because I know that these things exist. And then what happens? You have all these people coming out now and they're like, vampires are real. They're freaking real, man. Literally. Alex was on, and I've known Alex for a long time. He was on Joe Rogan's show. And he said that there are vampires that rule this world. He said that. He really said that. And I'm sitting there going like, you finally get it. You see it. And then you don't look so crazy anymore. And now I started talking about vampires and everybody started talking about vampires. They are. Because by the very definition, if you're out drinking blood, I don't care what you're. Well, they do it for the adrenochrome. I don't give a damn why you do it. You're doing it. You're doing it. I don't care if you're looking for a thrill, a chill, whatever. You're doing it. It's a vampiric thing to do. That's why the bat is called the vampire bat, because it drinks blood. You know? Well, they do it for ritual. They do it for this. They do it for that. I don't care what they're doing it for. And they rule our world. They run the world. And there are creatures like this that exist. And now they're coming out. And if they're telling you, folks, that there are 4 different types of alien species. Plasmoid, which we know are the Jinn, or the Fae. Both are 2 different kinds. The reptilians, and there's different ones of those, right? And then the Nordics and the insectoids, right? Right? They're saying that these are the different types. Oh, and the grays. They said the grays. Right?
Yeah, they didn't mention the plasma ones.
Well, I heard plasmoid beings or whatever. There was a plasmoid type being, a gray, reptilian, and then it was insectoid or Nordic, whatever. There were 4 different ones. They what?
I was just going to say the 4 that they officially announced were the grays, the insectoids, the reptilians, and the Nordics.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, you're right. You're correct. The plasmoid thing came up, I think, after it was right. I read this article and they said that there was also a plasmoid being, but they did not call it an alien. But the plasmoid they say that they're native. That's not native. They come from the 4th and 5th densities. And they've been here for a long time. But they acknowledge the existence of it. They don't call it an alien, right? All these other ones are alien. But I believe that there's a ton of them. So my point is very simple, though. If they're acknowledging 4, maybe 5 different types of species of beings that aren't humans, that are humanoidal, right? Or can be like humans, right? Then there's probably 40 of them, or 400, or 4,000. Because if they're giving you the tip of the iceberg, where's the rest of the spear? There's a whole bunch more there. There's whatever they give you as technology, there's a lot more. When everybody was seeing Geordie Rose, what Richard was talking about, if you're seeing him, everybody's seeing him, then that means that they're able to go into your brain using brain waves that stabilize in your brain and create images. It's the truth. You know. But anyways, anything else to say, Anna, before we close it down?
Yeah, the last thing I wanted to mention was just to bring it back to that quote from that concert. I'll close it out with that, just because it just struck me, and I did feel like it was kind of meant to be that I came across it. So the The singer, her name is, and I'm sure some people will be familiar with her. I wasn't because I'm so out of the loop, but her name's Melanie Martinez. I guess she's kind of a big deal, young girl. And at this concert, she had a big candle on the stage. I was watching the video of it. And the sound, it's her voice, and it says, "Hello, Earthlings. I know you can't see me, but I'm still here. Want to know a secret?" And then the giant flame on the candle illuminated. She said, "There's still a piece of me trying to become an angel. Look into the light and repeat after me." And she's speaking to the concert audience when she's saying this. So she's telling them to look into this flame. Uh, Our energy can't be destroyed. We find the light within our void. We've been here before. We can do it again. The evolution will never end. We are protected. We are immortal. And tonight we step into the portal.
Wow.
Yeah. And I thought,
so an
oh,
invocation.
yeah, it's a straight up invocation, and the light of Lucifer and just all of it. I was like, oh, well, this is to those of us who know what's going on. I mean, that was, and she's telling them to participate in it and to repeat after her. And the whole thing was just so absolutely obvious. And
Lemmings.
yeah, I wanted to share that because it was just so blatant. But also it ties back to what we were talking about, like there's nothing new under the sun, and the fact that it reminded me too of the spirits of the giants that are still roaming the earth, you know, and where it said we've been here before. I just thought that was very interesting. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but.
Well, Brent said doing a ritual right on stage, and then Andra says BS. She ain't gonna be knowing could be a demon. People think that a demon is the opposite of an angel. There are different types of angels. There are angels, and then there are the fallen angels, and there's the rebellious angels, and they're actually all different.
Yeah.
But demons are actually the offspring of angels, and demons actually have human DNA. You know, so they look like us. Because somebody asked me that too on the Monday show when we had to call in, and they were like, "Why did when people see demons, they always have a humanoid shape?" And I said, "Because they're part human." Well, isn't that what an angel is? No, angels are not. They don't have human. Angels are not human. Never were, never have been. Demons have human and angel DNA, and they once were physical, and some of them still are. They can be. They can move in and out. And that's the thing. It is really, there's a science behind this, and I think they figured it out. These terrible people that run the world, they know.
Yeah, and I didn't take it as her saying she was going to be an angel. I took it as this entity speaking, that there's a piece of that entity still here trying to be an angel, almost perhaps even the fallen Lucifer still trying to achieve his former status or something. I don't know, but that's just how I took it.
Yeah. Yeah, this is interesting. But Brent, just read that right there. In Kazakhstan, 200 seats on the top level. I think it's commonly held belief that Mount Hermon was where they had landed originally.
Yeah, 200. Yeah.
200.
Yeah.
And so that may be, you know, but people have asked this question before too, and this is why it's so important to understand. People have posed the question to me: why? How were they able to breed with women if these were angels? They were giants. They were huge. And the simple question is that our ancestors were bigger at that time. They were not, you know, these giant skeletons that we find them in all different sizes, but you know, the smaller ones, they exceed like 9-10 feet. Those are the smaller ones. There were different types. So when the Watchers came, humans were not 10 feet tall. They were way taller than that.
Yeah, there were much higher oxygen levels on the Earth in the past. And they've even done current studies where they will take like cockroaches and they'll put them in an oxygen-rich environment and they will grow absolutely gigantic.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, and one last thing to say, people have entertained angels, and angels like you could take the form of a human, so they could become human sized. But the offspring of these beings were gigantic, so that speaks to their mothers. The mitochondrial DNA had to have been massive, from the mother side. So I believe that's what it was. The antediluvian world, the pre-flood, had to have been a whole different place. And it's scary to think about the fauna and megafauna and all these things that were running around, this woolly rhinoceros and all these, but the thing is, our ancestors were bigger, So when you have, 30-foot tall ancestors, I mean, that doesn't, it changes it. It makes these animals that were so big less terrifying. It'd be terrifying to us because we're like bugs compared to them. But so tomorrow night, Anna, we're going to be back, right? We're going to be on Rumble at 8:00, and we will break it down. We'll talk about some different things, and we're going to get into a little more deeper, whatever. So be there tomorrow night on Rumble. And then I guess, if you guys would be so inclined, please like, share, and subscribe. Please post this show on your whatever, Facebook, whatever you want to do. Follow me on Facebook. Follow Anna on Facebook. Anna got a following on Facebook.
Anna
has a following on Facebook. Actually, basically, she's got a following on Facebook. You need to go and check it out. So that's, and then we'll be on Rumble tomorrow. But here's the thing. If you guys want a subject you want to hear about, or if you have questions, just ask. All we can do is just mess it up. We don't know. Like earlier when you said Maria Orchik, I was thinking, who the hell? I was thinking it was Madame Blavatsky, but that's my brain getting jumbled up.
I'm like, what is this idiot saying?
No, I didn't think that. I just was like thinking that's not correct because I'm thinking of fool, But anyways, I'm the fool. Thank you to everybody who is nobody. Okay, so just whatever. Just please like, subscribe, share. If you feel like donating, donate. If you don't. But we'll see you tomorrow night on Rumble, 8:00, folks. Thank you, and we'll see you. Good night.
Thanks, everyone.